I always say, if you're going to bet on anybody, like bet on yourself, right? I literally launch products for a living for other people. And so every day I'm like stared in the face of these other people living their dream, watching their, who are doing the thing. And I'm like, why am I not doing it? It's okay to choose you.
And that any flack that you get for that is not a true story.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Unapologetically Yours podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Logan, and this is a place where we go deep on everything from spirituality to relationship and connection to business and belief system. Because in a world when we've been taught to play by the rules, it's time to live a little bit unapologetically. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, I am a mother of three, an entrepreneur. I am also very deep in somatic practices from sound healing to breath work, and have basically made it a point to re-examine every system that I built my life on over the last couple of years to start to find truth and start to treat myself like a whole person instead of a fragmented person wearing the hat of mother, wearing the hat of wife, wearing the hat of business owner, and all of the things. And this adventure has taken me on a journey of bringing people from my past back into my life, opening doors to new connections. And I have to say that when you live a life that is fully aligned, the universe starts to work so much in your favor. So with that, I want to introduce our guest today, who is a friend of mine that we met when we were 14 years old. So, and then we're always friends and always cheering each other on from a distance. But then really it was in the pandemic when we were both entrepreneurs, figuring out life, figuring out business, and realized that we really had sort of a gap in the space of someone who really understood what it was like to run a business, what it meant to be a mother, and what it meant to wear all of these hats at once. And while also paying attention to our spirituality, taking care of ourselves, making time for fun and pleasure and all of those things. So without further ado, I want to introduce Jackie Hutson.
Thank you, Ash. I'm so happy to be here.
So for background, Jackie is a managing partner of a company called Atrium, and she can tell you all about that company that she, like a total badass, bought into when it was at roughly $4 million in revenue. She has helped grow it to over $30 million in revenue. She's a mother of two awesome, super high energy boys. She is an entrepreneur in so many ways, from real estate investment to her latest project, Piper and Mint, which is a company that provides pajamas that are moisture wicking for women who are breastfeeding or in menopause to help combat those pesky night sweats that we all know a thing or two about as women.
Yep.
She wears a million hats in her life and also manages to show up as a friend, as a mentor for others, and a constant learner of the world. So I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So tell us, Jackie, with all of the hats that you wear, who are you today?
Oh, man, that's a really good question. I think I am most authentic. I'm the most authentic version of myself that I've ever been in my whole life. I think I'm the same person on the inside, but I think the outside version of me is now matching that, right? The thoughts and feelings that I've had, the way that my heart has led. I think I am definitely a people pleaser. And so it's been a life of maybe thinking a lot of things and wanting to say a lot of things, but always being concerned about others and how it's going to come off, where now I feel like I finally stepped into my full truth. And I will, it still comes from my heart. I'm going to still approach these things, but I'm not afraid to say the thing anymore. I'm really been doing a lot of work, thanks to you, from an amazing, women's retreat that we had a couple years ago, a year and a half ago by now. But it's just really been a journey of working on my inner self and really letting that be what you see on the outside as well, right? Not just this facade, not just, part of me, but the whole me, and bringing that whole me to work. And that's okay, right? And bringing the whole me into my marriage, and that's okay, right? And so people are getting, I almost think people are going to know like a new version of me these days. And it's really exciting to be able to show up that way and just, again, not have such a weight. Like I never realized how heavy I carried things on my shoulders, to be honest, by keeping those thoughts and feelings inside. So yeah, again, I'm the same fifth grader that sold my Beanie Babies for $5,000 back in the day that I was. It's just I'm selling different things now, I guess. So again, a lot of the essence of who I am and how I approach life and things is definitely the same. But I just feel like I've really come into my voice as of late.
I love that. And I've seen that and got to have a front row seat to all
Yes,
of this.
you did. You did.
But the truth is that as women, I think, and especially as mothers and in the business world, we're sort of taught to operate a certain way and be in a certain energy. And I've talked about this a lot in season 1, like when you enter the workforce, you got to show up and be professional and do all the things.
Yep.
And I guess going even a level deeper on that, you kind of mimic the masculine way of doing business. And that can be really tough as an empathetic, heart-led leader, because then you start to try to fit yourself in a box where you're not maybe saying the things that are on your mind or doing the things that you know in your heart are right.
Yes.
But I'm here to say, and can bear witness to you who've done this, that by doing those things and being your full self in business, look how far you've gotten.
Yeah.
What you've managed to do. Look at the team that you've built and how you're more in alignment, which creates like more ease and flow in every area of life.
Yeah. And it's still a process, right? Like I am on this journey. I can look back and see where I've come from and I can be so proud of myself. And then I can also look ahead and say, okay, like here's where I still need to do some more work, right? And still continue to gain that confidence and still continue to be rooted in my, my gut. I've always had gut instinct. People say that, but like I feel it there, and just leaning into that and knowing that God, the universe, like has my back, and I will bet on I always say, if you're going to bet on anybody, like bet on yourself, right? And that's what I did with buying into Atrium. And so I think that trusting that feeling and then actually doing action off of it, not just saying, oh, it's there, but, and then listening to all the noises around me versus being like, oh, it's there. I need to now move my feet to do what my body's telling me, what it's feeling. So again, those are like big aha moments for me, again, thanks to you. And again, like breath work was like a life-changing experience for me. I'd never done anything like that. And then all of a sudden it was just like, holy shit, like what is coming out of me is just, like years of just pent up emotions, and feelings that were real, but I just didn't have the confidence or, I don't even know, not the knowledge, but just, I think it really was like the confidence to say it, and really share those feelings.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, and like once you see the truth about yourself, and your potential, it's really hard to unsee it.
Yeah.
It's going down the path of doing that inner work. Can be scary because it's like you're forced to look in the mirror. You're forced to then reconcile the things that don't fit any longer. And also, it takes an element of courage to then make the change. But then when you have the tools to know that you're supported, and especially when you have a community of people around you who are cheering for you, that makes a huge difference too.
Yeah. I mean, I think my, girl chat that I have with you and some other fellow like badass business friends, when, tough days come for sure, right? And sometimes when I'm just, especially, I'm part of this very large scale business, which is awesome. But I also have passions in other places. And so I launched, as you mentioned, my own product brand last year. And very different world, right? I'm living in one mass manufacturing, scaling, working with big retailers. And then I'm starting from literally 0 followers and making my own product, and trying to balance the budget with the minimums and all the things that come with manufacturing a product. And so, some days are like, shit, like, am I really doing this? Is this really worth it? And then it just takes like 1 minute or one pep text back from a friend being like, you're killing it, girl. And I'm like, you're right. Like I literally started from 0. And again, looking back on where I started versus always having this like goal or target, because I'm very goal oriented and I set big lofty goals. But if I'm always looking ahead, I realized I was feeling like a failure because I wasn't there yet, where I'm really trying to tell myself, like, look back, turn around and see where you started this journey. And then it's like, oh yeah, girl, like we're moving, like we've made progress. So I think living in that like dichotomy now of like two very different businesses has been very humbling and in a great way for me to say, like, it's okay. Like growth takes time. It's not going to be overnight. But again, as long as I'm knowing that we're progressing, like I'm moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I think that, I mean, to touch back on a couple of different things, like when it comes to, I think, being a entrepreneur, um, it takes courage, of course,
Mhm.
and guts to put
Mhm.
yourself out there, to create something, to share something that you birthed in the world. And it also takes guts to lead a team and requires compassion and heart and business sense. And so that you're, striking that balance between like margins, profits,
Yeah.
people, and the mission and
Yes.
being a mission driven business. And so many women today are starting these like incredible mission driven businesses. And when you're measuring yourself against the matrix of like patriarchal capitalism, where it's like growth, revenue, all of these things that are like deep in performance, it's hard to sit in the present and say like, oh, you know what? I did something amazing.
Yeah.
I created a product. And so now let's shift and talk a little bit about Piper and Mitten. But
Yes.
so you had this vision of
Yes.
creating a brand of jammies that
Yep.
would help women get a better night's sleep,
Yep.
who are experiencing night sweats.
Yeah.
And as we know from being moms of
Yep.
kids, like that happens a lot in pregnancy and postpartum,
Yes.
breastfeeding, all that. You like the sweat is
Yeah.
just it's wild. Your hormones are changing.
Yes.
Your water, like you're shedding water, like all of those things. And then now, years later, we're experiencing this in like the perimenopausal
Yeah.
state. And so you had this vision of solving a problem, and I want to talk more about that.
Yep.
But then you took the step to create a product, and then you took the step to brand the product, and then you took the step to build a website so other people could access it. And then you're putting yourself out there with marketing, and like every single one of those steps is to be celebrated. But I think that sometimes the way that business is celebrated now, it's about how fast you're growing,
Yep.
and all of those things. And that's a really masculine interpretation of contributing to the
Yep.
workforce and contributing to the world. And so I think that I admire so much that your presence of mind, they're like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to look towards the future about where I want to be and how I'm not there, and look at instead, what are the steps? What are the goals? What are the things that I took
Mhm.
to get to this point so far, and celebrate that.
Yeah. And I think, I look back and obviously at the end of the day, you need to make money to pay the bills, right? So like to make it a viable business, yes, we have to have sales. But I also look back and say, wow, we have, over 350 women that are getting better night's rest because of our pajamas. In 6 months we did that. Like, wow, like that's amazing. And that's the impact that I want to make with this company, right? It's purpose driven for a right. It's to help with night sweats. It's to help, sleep is just so important, especially we know as working moms. It's like,
I
really
really
if
don't
we
get
all
plenty of sleep at all, right?
So just if I'm able to play a little role in helping someone have better rest, like awesome. And then on top of that, I knew when I started my own business that I wanted to have like a philanthropic component to it. Like to me, we can build business models that allow for that if you're starting it from the ground up. So I did, right? I built in this kickback. So we partnered with a company called BabyQuest, and we got to give our first donation check back to BabyQuest, and just having the founder message me and be like, oh my goodness, thank you. So just a little insight about BabyQuest.
Yes, but let's start with this. Let's go with Baby Quest, and then
So
I wanna hear
BabyQuest
your
is
story.
an amazing nonprofit organization that gives fertility grants to couples and people that cannot afford the journey to have a child, right? So they help give grants for IVF, for surrogacy, for IUIs, like the things that I personally had to deal with myself trying to conceive with both of my boys. I was lucky I had a job with great benefits that actually had some coverage for there. I had two work, myself and my husband were both working, and we had enough money to cover those bills. But a lot of families truly can't afford that. They're taking out second mortgages to pay for IVF. They're taking out loans, or they just choose to, or they don't make the choice. The choice is made for them. They can't even go to that next step, right? Which is just heart wrenching for me. So no one should be denied the ability to have a family because they can't afford it. It's just it's just mind-boggling to me. So that's what Baby Quest is there for right now, until insurance, until, our government system can start to really figure this out and give the support that's needed to these couples going through this, or these women, or even men for, that are looking for adoption and surrogacy, right? Baby Quest comes in and kind of fills that gap in some way for right now. And so just really proud to be a part of that and know that this business is not only helping women sleep better, but we're also doing good on the back end too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. Purpose drivenness is giving back, making the world a better place, and just operating from that frequency in itself. I think the universe opens so many doors for you in that regard.
Yeah.
So thinking about your journey and like your original vision with Piper and Mint.
Yeah.
When did that start? When did you first get the idea?
So really, I can't take credit for the original. The OG comes from my good friend Amelia. So she and I both gave birth to our first children around the same time. And we were just chatting about night sweats. And it was something that I was experiencing. I'd never read about it. I mean, I read all the books too. I mean, I had 3 years of going through fertility to read all the books that there were. And I still never read about it and didn't even hear about it from my OBGYN. So her and I were chatting about it, and she knows I'm in product development. She knows I make products for a living. So she said, there's got to be something out there. And we looked and there wasn't. And she's like, what if you could make pajamas that would help wick sweat away? And that was nursing friendly, because that was the other catch, right? There was not pajamas that were checking all those boxes. Her OBGYN said, like, wear a workout shirt or sleep on a towel. And it's like, right, none of those are conducive to what you want to be doing when you're putting on 2 hours of
the mothers who have breastfed, you have the snappy little things,
the clips, right? Yeah. So it just wasn't functional, right? And so we actually, even her and I went down the journey a little bit together for a while, and then life got in the way, and we didn't end up doing much with it. And then
this was 11 years.
This was like 10 years ago, yeah. And so fast forward, now I'm part owner of this manufacturing company. I literally launch products for a living for other people, and so every day I'm like stared in the face of these other people living their dream, launching who are doing the thing, and I'm like, why am I not doing it? And so I went back to my friend Amelia and said, do you want in? And she's like, you know what, you go for it. Like, I'm here, I'm gonna be your biggest cheerleader. But you go for it. And so literally that was about probably 3 years ago, I started some heavy research and development, finding the right fabric, finding the fits, getting some focus group members, finding women in Facebook lactation groups. I'm like, who's sweating? I got some PJs for you to try. And when I finally landed on the fabric, I remember the one woman wrote me back and she goes, this is magical. Like, I have not slept through the night once. And she was 9-10 months postpartum and still sweating. She was nursing, but her baby slept through the night, but she couldn't sleep through the night because of the sweats. So
what happens for those of you who haven't experienced this is like you sweat, but then you wake up cold.
Yes.
Or your sheets are wet.
Yes.
Or your pillowcase is wet. And so then it's like, then you have to flip the pillow or do any of the things.
The concern was taking showers in the middle of the night because she was so drenched. And she goes, this was the first time I didn't have to take a shower. And I was like, wow. Like,
because the pajamas are actually
wicking. They're wicking the sweat away, but then they're also quick dry. So they're naturally, again, no like added chemicals for it. It's just the yarns that we use are naturally moisture wicking, dry quickly. And then the really special sauce, truly where the name comes from, Piper and Mint, is that we use mint botanicals. They're infused in the yarns themselves. So the yarns don't smell like mint. That's like our number one asked question. But what mint is, it's a natural antibacterial from nature. So it cuts the odor. So not only are you waking up dry because your pajamas have pulled the sweat away and quickly dried on you, but then the next morning you don't smell like you sweat all night, which is also horrible to wake up in the morning and, not be feeling your best, right? And that can even be women that are breastfeeding and have, milk spills at night while you're breastfeeding. It's just a thing. And you wake up and there's that smell of like dried breast milk. I remember my first mama reached out and she goes, there's no dried breast milk smell. Like, I wake up and I haven't washed your pajamas. She said, in over 2 weeks. She's like, don't get mad at me. But I'm like, no, that's great. And so those are all the added benefits of it, as well, was like this odor component that just, again, makes you feel a little bit more like a human, right? When you wake up.
And a product that actually sees you.
Yes.
It's like one of the things that I am so struck by is the fact that for so long, women's stories have been silenced. And then when we do start telling stories, oftentimes, we're retelling the stories that were taught to us, a lot of times by men.
Yeah.
And that's because we haven't had the space or the ability to stop and be like, is this true?
Yeah.
But like one of those things when you think about like reading the books, when you have a conversation with other women in circle, it's like,
yeah.
oh my God, I'm sweating my ass off.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, me too, me too, me too, me
Yes.
too.
Yes.
But it's not making its way into the literature.
Yeah.
And so to be seen and have a true story and a true experience and then a product that can help support it, like that's just amazing.
Yeah. And I'm really excited. I think just in our world today, women's health is finally becoming a conversation, right? I'm sure if it's not on your Instagram feed, I'm sorry, it probably will be after listening to this, but like menopause is kind of, is finally like having its moment, right?
Yeah.
Perimenopause, and also linking the things that we're going through in these journeys and dementia, right? And like, so there's all these future health problems that are coming from us not talking about what's happening to us right now, like at the age that we are at. So I just think it's also really exciting to have a product, one that's like filling a true need, but then also starting to see that there's other people starting to talk about it as well, right? And we're just one small piece of it, right? There's so much to do within this space in regards to getting your hormones, in check and all the things. But for me, these pajamas are like one piece of your toolbox, right? To get through these times. And to be honest, even if you're not sweating, they're just really fucking comfortable.
Well, I will tell you this, you know this. So my daughter like got, my daughter is like a little, I don't know if I could say mini me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, she's a mini me. And she loved my jammies so much, and and she feels big feelings. And I'm proud of her for that because I kept my feelings small for a while. But anyway, Jackie sent her a prototype of like a night shirt. So now she wears it all the time and is obsessed, and it's so cute. And now we match and we match.
Yes.
So it's great, and it's so soft. And you've got pillowcases that
they're in works. They're in R&D. I've been testing, and my focus groupers are very excited about them. And so, and that's the cool thing. The fabrics.
How do I get in that focus?
Oh yeah, I got you, girl. Don't worry, I got you. We have new protos coming as soon as our good old Chinese New Year, when my factory shuts down for a month. It's real fun. So they're in shutdown right now. So when they open back up, you'll be the first on the list to get that next round.
I love that. Congratulations.
Thanks.
This is huge. And so like, I just think about that journey of like, you had a vision, you had a seed that was planted in you, and it persisted. And then eventually you listened. And now look at like all of the doors it is open for you. Look at all of the connections that you've made, and look at all like the world of possibility as you're like innovating, not just with this product, but then also like podcasts and other things where you can do to support people who want to follow a similar path and have an idea about a product and want to bring it to life. And now you're helping to create a roadmap for them. So
yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I had always thought, I started businesses all growing up. I always had something. I would call them hobbies. In college, I got really serious and was actually selling a product that I had made to some storefronts and whatnot, which was very cool. But then, did the corporate track, and then now eventually made my way back over to the entrepreneurial side. So it's really, again, back to who I am today. Is I'm the same girl that was sewing purses in my basement. I'm just doing it now at the scale that I can afford to do it at and really have it be meaningful to the world, which is exciting.
It's awesome. And you're paving the way for other people to do the same, which is amazing. So anyone out there who has an idea, plant it in their mind, find the way, take that first step, because that is how you change the world. That's how you make an impact. That's how you also start to tell true stories and change the narrative for people around you who have had similar experiences, who might not have been seen or who might not have found their voice yet.
Yeah. And I think us as women, we are visionaries. We are idea makers, right? Like, we see the problems. We're ultimate fixers. So
we call this feminine energy, the creative, the innovation. Would you say that we need more feminine energy in the workplace or more masculine energy?
That's a silly question, Ash. Let's be real. We know you can't say to that.
I'm fun at Zuck's interview with Joe Rogan, where he needs more masculine energy. And just to go on a tangent for a second, like within each of us, we have masculine and feminine energy. And part of the reason why so many people are feeling off kilter or uncentered is because they're not tapping into their own masculine and feminine energy. So I would say that we all need we've got the feminine flow and the creative, and we need the boundaries and the follow through and the steps and all of those things. And that kind of comes from the consistent masculine that's based on, a 24-hour day cycle. It's masculine energy represents the sun, and that comes up, and feminine energy is the moon, and it's a longer cycle and has more flow and creativity. We need both of those things. However, when you look at how many people are not able to use their voice because they have not been in a safe enough space to tell true stories, that's where really the feminine energy has been so off balance for so many people, where the workplace has been allowed to take on a shape that is more serves one type of person.
Yeah.
And so anyway, kudos to you for, you did both. You had your feminine idea, your creativity, and you're putting that to test, and you also are taking the steps with your masculine energy of action, follow through, setting goals and all of those things. And it's really beautiful.
Thanks.
So one of the things that I think is so important about being a person alive today is community. And especially when it comes to working mothers. And by working mothers, I mean women who are getting shit done, involved in their communities, balancing lots of things. And I would say that most of us are.
Yeah.
And I even hesitate to just put this in the category of like mothers, but people who are wearing lots of hats in life, who are dreamers, who are trying to create things, who are trying to move the needle on their lives. Community is an essential part of it.
Correct.
Surrounding yourself with like-minded people who have a similar world of you, from the terms of not looking at people who look exactly like you or think exactly like you, but are willing to like challenge you and help you expand your thinking and help uplift you to keep you going.
Yeah. And I think it's a balance between, there's friend circles that can do that. But I also think if you are someone who truly is on the business side, it's important to have both. And I think both of those I really found a little bit later in my life. And I'm so glad that on this entrepreneurial journey that I'm on, that I found you when I did, right? Like, I mean, that was huge to be able to have. That's like double bonus, right? I have a friend and a woman in business who I can like go to and understand me and know where I'm at and talk about, the motherhood piece, right? Like all the things.
All the things, the whole ass person.
The whole bit of it. But then recently I'm actually here in Chicago because yesterday I was at my first, entrepreneurial training session with this new group that I'm a part of now, where it is men and women who are in a certain level of business revenue size where we are like or way beyond where I'm at right now. And I've never been in a room with people that were that. I mean, we literally sat and we were joking. We're like, oh my gosh, we're not the lone weirdo. Like we're all there together and we're not alone. We feel alone in maybe our day-to-day network, right? Because we are the entrepreneur, we are the visionary, and you have a team, amazing team below you, but they're not you. And there's a reason for that, right? That you need both for that to work.
Well, it's interesting because it's just a different set of not, I don't want to say problems, but a different set of thoughts and considerations that when you're running the business and the responsibilities and the weight of that hits differently.
Yes.
So when you walk into a room, I experienced this when I joined EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization. I walked to my first event and I remember I brought my friend Macy to come with me. And I was like, I grabbed her arm. I was like, oh my God, I found my people. It was just like, speak the same language, understand instantly the same problems.
Yeah, the same problems. That's the big one.
Okay, how are you balancing work and home? How are you figuring out the financial piece? How are you helping make sure that your people don't hate you and then go on to leave reviews about you on every platform possible because they hate you so much? Truly, it's like, how do you balance all those things and then get resources for accounting, for how to structure your days and all of that? It's like, it's so helpful to learn from each other and have that mindset of like someone gut checking, be like, hey, have you thought about it this way?
Yeah. And I think what's cool about, again, at least this business group that I'm at, people are at all different spectrums of their business right now, right? There are people in this group that have done the things and they are like building this freedom lifestyle where they now have, team members running this and that for them. And so I can look at them and say, oh, you can do your business that way. And they're doing it, right? And you can look at someone who's just a little bit more like a couple steps behind me, right? And so it's really interesting to say we're all very like-minded people, but we're at different parts in our business journey. And just the conversation I had a lunchtime conversation and a dinner time conversation, and like all of a sudden my mind is like completely blowing up in the best way because it's things that, again, maybe listening to that. I mean, you ask me all the time, like, is this fear that you're feeling, or is it really like a no? Is it a no because you don't want to, or is it a fear? And like so much I'm realizing I think is fear based and not a hard no. It's afraid of, can I really do it? And then it's like I have these people looking at me saying, you've done it. Like, what do you mean, can you do it? You did it.
Yes.
So now if you want to do the next, like, go for it, right? And that
It's
there's
amazing to
opportunities.
have someone there who can like hold up a mirror to you and be like, "Hi."
Yeah.
And I think about this. I actually on episode 1 of season 2, I talked a little bit about our time together a couple years ago when we both went and we like spent the night at a hotel. We printed out Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light
Yep.
vision book for, reflecting on the previous year and then setting intentions and goals for the following year.
Yeah.
And what was so cool about doing that with you was that you would say like, okay, well, I'm gonna use you as an example, but you did the same for me. Whereas like, you're like, okay, well, I like only did this thing and this thing and this thing and this, and I don't know. I don't think well, and then I was like, Jackie, what the fuck are you talking about? You did this? You did that? Remember this thing that you overcame? And oh my God. And what about this? That? And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, you're right. I
Yeah.
did do those things.
Yeah.
And you did the same thing for me.
Yeah.
And it was so validating to be like, wait, hang on. Let's not focus so much on the things we didn't do. Let's focus on the things that we did do. And remember to celebrate all those milestones, but also just to have someone there who's cheering you on and saying like, hey, remember?
Yep.
This is the thing that you accomplished that like you kind of dusted under the rug because maybe you didn't have anyone to celebrate it with, or maybe you just had to run to soccer practice.
Yeah.
Kids, you didn't get a
100%,
chance to acknowledge it,
100%.
but to stop and say, oh, yes, I made things happen.
And what's also cool about that, I told you this, I brought that book back out just recently and I read back through it and I was like, hell yeah. Like the things that I had set out for myself, I had certain timelines again that I had put on these ideal timelines, I'll call it, for 2024 or 2023 at the time, I think it was. And looking back, I mean, some, yes, got accomplished in 2023, but I would say almost every single thing I had on there by the end of like this past year had worked its way out, and I just think that's such an important reminder, like writing things down. Like we had to physically write in a book. It wasn't typed. It wasn't, a voice memo note. Like it was our hand to a pen to paper, right? And even in my training yesterday, they basically said, put your computers away. Like we are writing things down. Then you can transfer it to your computer, transfer it however you want. But that's just that physical act of writing and paper and grounding and just like sets a different, puts it in your brain differently, right? Like there's like science behind it.
It's out in the universe in a way that's like really intentional and that you can come back to and reference and hold yourself accountable for and all of those things. And it's a really beautiful thing. So now you are bouncing a brand new baby startup that's so wonderful and so exciting. Everyone needs to go buy Piper Mint Jammy. Yeah, not your sweatener. And can't wait for the pillowcases. So we'll make sure to share the links there. You're also a managing partner of a massive business that continues to grow and blow things out of the water, and you're kicking ass there, and you're leading in a way that is heart-centric and using your voice, and that's amazing. You're also a mom. So what are some of the things that you do to stay centered and focused and not lose your shit in all of the different, to be a whole person all the time?
Yeah, it's hard. I will say that, as I work on my business and my business has grown, it's afforded me some luxuries of outsourcing certain things that I used to have to do all myself, right? So even down to as simple as, now I have someone deliver some lunch meals to me for the week versus me spending 3 hours on a Sunday prepping. And that's now 3 hours I can go spend with my kids and we'll go do something fun. So I do think when you can, and even outsourcing could be like finding high school kids and students that want to help have some exposure to things, right? So I'm trying to make sure I'm working on the things that I actually need me for it. And for the other things, I'm pushing things down to my team. I'm trying to find people outside of my network that can help support me. But it's really saying, I've gotten a lot better about saying like, it can wait. to some emails, it can wait to some customers, it can wait to even some of my team members, to be honest. Obviously I'm always there and they know if the house is burning down, like they can text me and I will always answer them. But I think setting up some more boundaries has been really helpful for me, coming in at night and trying to make sure I am putting my phone away when the boys are around, and I still get caught. Trust me, there is a lot of work, still to be done. But I think setting up those boundaries and also taking time, like I play competitive tennis, and that is something that I do for me and I enjoy it. And we are undefeated and we are going to be going to districts again and hopefully states again. And like, that's a fun thing as an adult to get back into competition in a different way. Right. But I know that if I don't do that time for me, it's harder for me to show up the best for everybody else. So I think it's just really prioritizing and then having to say no. I say no to a lot more things than I ever used to. Again, I think that's the people pleaser in me. I'd be like, yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. And now I'm like, no, that doesn't, if it's not like someone says, if it's not a hell yeah, it's like a fuck no. Like that's something that my coach taught me last year. Like if you're not feeling, if it's a should, shut it. If it's a want, that's a different story. So again, it's all these little things that have just added up to me being able to organize and have more, meaningful moments with people. And I believe with my kids, I really believe it's quality, not quantity, to be honest. Like if I have to go to a work meeting, like I don't feel guilty about that. Like I know I'm doing that for a reason. It's not just to get away, it's to go build my business bigger, right? But we're going on a ski trip this weekend and I'm not going to chuck my work on Monday. We're going to be skiing instead. So I've just, again, set some boundaries up, I think in a much more productive way than I ever have in the past. And I still have so much more opportunity to keep doing that. And I'm really actually excited about that, to keep building those boundaries and keep building, there's no balance. It's integration, especially as an entrepreneur. So it's just where does that lie? Where does some things start and stop? And making sure that when I'm at the business, I'm giving focus to the business. When I'm with my kids, I'm giving focus to my kids. And when and how that shows up, I'm not so concerned about that. It's just making sure that I'm intentional when I'm there and that people feel like they're being seen by me, right? And that I'm not being scatterbrained and distracted.
Sure. No, I love that. And especially the competitive tennis part. Just like finding hobbies and all of those things is so important.
Yep.
Yep. I think I told you that I just started singing lessons again.
Amazing. I'm so happy for you that you are doing that for yourself. Because, right, that is for you. That is for you and yourself. And it brings you joy. And
I'm still the same 5-year-old girl on the inside who wanted to sing and perform and all of that, and it's showing up in totally.
I mean, I still just see you with your guitar on Hinsdale Central stage doing, wild horses, and being like, I just remember looking at you up there and being like, it's fucking awesome, like so cool, like you're just such a rock star. So I'm so glad you're coming back to that. I mean, I know you've always been, you'll sing here and there, but really actually committing and saying, no, like I want to hone in on this passion and skill of mine, which you have an amazing talent for anyways. Like, I just think is wonderful.
Thank you. Yes, I love it. And it's interesting to me because like some of the things that I'm learning through going back to singing lessons are things like, okay, like it's a lot of breath work.
Yes.
Somatics and like, okay, where are you placing things in your body and how you're letting it out? And like, I feel so much like, oh my God, this is kind of like all of the things that I did to get away from myself and all of the tools that I found to come back to it through breath and sound healing and other things. And then it's like putting these pieces back together now. And like the last frontier is like singing again. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. So who knows what I'll do with it or nothing.
Yeah.
And maybe I will just go sing.
I mean, I'm not going to like join the...
excuse me, I think you're going to district.
I mean, yes, but let's be real.
It's cool shit. Oh, but I think that's an important takeaway too, is like remembering that like in all of it, like when I first started Yakety Yak, Yakety Yak is my content marketing agency, been in business for over 10 years, multi-7-figure business. And when I started it, I didn't have a road book. I wore every single hat. I can say that I have literally done every single job in the company. To this day can say that. And when I first started, I was like, oh, I'm working so hard. I'm working all these. And I thought that was cool. I thought that was something to be celebrated. That I was working to the point of burnout, that I was doing all of those things.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's taken a really, really long time to dismantle that mindset within myself and to make sure that I'm trusting my team. I need reminders sometimes to be like, no, we got it. We need you on this. And that there doesn't you don't need to fill all of the roles, that is actually a very masculine mindset. Instead, it's like build trust, build the right people, delegate appropriately, and celebrate them for what they bring. And
Yep.
and it makes life so much easier as an entrepreneur. So those of you who are starting out, there's so many amazing tools right now, like from AI, from like from meeting schedule systems, and so many things that didn't exist necessarily when I was getting started, but they do exist now and can buy you back your time, can buy you back your freedom, so that you can be a whole person. And a whole person isn't a workaholic. A whole person isn't just isn't a mom who is only focused on her children. Like, there needs to be room for the things that light you up, like tennis, like making a difference in the world, like girlfriends, connections, all those things, singing lessons, whatever it may be. Because when you have space, then it allows, like, the universe brings you so many new things to respond to.
Yes.
That might take you down a path that is the life of your dreams.
Yep. Agree. And I think it's okay to not be there for everything for others, right? Like, I've gotten to a point where sometimes my tennis will conflict with the football game, and I go to tennis, because if I don't go to tennis, I'm not going to show up the next day for my family in the same way, right? If I have nothing for myself and I'm only just giving, at some point that will drain my battery. It will. So I think it's that balance of making sure, or sorry, not balance, but like just understanding that it's okay to choose you.
And that any flack that you get for that is not a true story.
Yeah.
It's someone else who decided that that's not how mothers should be.
Yes.
That's not how business owners should be.
Yes.
And but when you examine it, it's not the truth.
Yep.
So mom guilt is yes, it's real. Like, yes, so many of us would prefer to be with our kids over working late to make ends meet and all of those things. And it comes from a huge state of privilege, even sometimes be like, to have the choice. But noting that we get to take agency over our destiny, and it's okay to have space to make a difference. Life doesn't just stop when you have children.
Yes.
And the impact that you can make in the world can be vast and continuous, and it can work in conjunction with motherhood, entrepreneurship, having a day job, having all those things, and just figuring out, like, listening to that like little nudge inside of you that says, like, okay, I've got an idea. I've got something I want to do.
Yep.
I got to listen to it, because the longer you don't listen to it, the more the universe will start dropping these absolute disrupting bombs on you, where you're finally like,
yeah,
I'm listening.
Exactly.
And then you can take the next step.
Yeah. And I think it's modeling it for the children, for my children too, right? Like, they see me taking time when I need it for myself, and that's okay, right? And I hope that they will do the same thing for themselves as they get older and they're, navigating their journey. So I think it's again, it models both ways too. So I think hopefully I'm enjoying it.
You're an incredible mom. So I've seen you in action.
Well, samey girl, samey.
Thank you. So now a few things here. Yeah. Thinking about this in terms of like what we're modeling for our kids, I think we're also modeling for each other as women. And this, over the last couple of years, you and I have both gone through like tons of highs and lows together. As you've been building your business, as I've been going through changes and building new businesses and building new things. And I think that what is so interesting is that oftentimes I'll be high, and then maybe you'll be going through something, and then I can hold space for you and listen to you.
Yes.
And then vice versa. Or sometimes we're both just like, what the fuck? And life is hard. Yeah. I think that I noticed myself, especially in the pandemic and the years immediately following the pandemic, that I would just like kind of isolate and not go to people for help, because I was kind of like, we'd been forced into this situation where we were doing things all by ourselves.
Yep. And
so as we reconnected in each other's lives, and you become just such an important part of mine, I was reminded how vital it is to pick up the phone and call someone.
Yes.
And leave a voice note where it's like, hey, I'm working through this thing right now. Hey, I'm not in a great place. Or, hey, what's going on with you, and checking in.
Yes.
Check in with your girlfriends.
Yes.
It can change your life.
Yes. And again, I am, as Ashley already mentioned, voice memos are like my new goal for 2025 is like send as many voice memos as I can. But I just think, you know, how doesn't everyone light up when they hear their friend's voice, even if it's just on a recording? And I know we all hate leaving cell phone recordings like those. Don't leave me one of those, but send me a voice memo all day. So I just think, again, even if it's just a check-in of like thinking of you all, right? Because we think of our friends all the time, but we don't always tell each other necessarily that we're thinking of each other, right? Especially for us where we're not in the same city. So we don't get to see each other that same way that you might see other people. So yes, check in with friends. If you're having, a shitty day, like it's okay to tell someone that, especially someone who's in your safe circle, right? Because they're going to know what they might, you might not even know what you need, but they might, right? Or then they're just there to say, hey, I hear you. I'm sorry. Like, just to be that.
Well, to remember that, like, we're not alone.
Yeah.
Like, all of us,
Yep.
those listening, men or women,
Yep.
you're not alone. And to find people who you can count on, to find people you can relate to find people you can connect to, because together we are so much stronger. And as human beings, it's in our DNA to build connection. And we have gotten into these habits of being in super burnout cycles where we don't have space for it. And
yes,
I know for a long period of time, the first people that I would cancel on would be my girlfriends, even though they're the ones that uplifted me most. And so I've been really making a conscious effort to say, no, like I'm going to feel more uplifted. And maybe also it's not just about how I feel, but it's like, maybe I can uplift someone else who's going through something. And just remembered like this myopic kind of view that we sort of had to adopt during pandemic and post-pandemic. It doesn't exist anymore. So find your people, find your community, lean on them and hold space for them, and then let them hold space for you. Because what happens then is you get new ideas, you get new suggestions, you meet new people, you get new experiences, and all of those are the way of, feeling supported so that you can go on and do the thing in this world that you were meant to do.
And I'll say just real quickly, I have found some of my closest friendships much later in life. Right? Like, I mean, I love, or they've come back full circle from earlier in life, right? So I have it on both sides, but there's relationships that I've met literally in the past 1 to 2 years with a young woman who I'm like, oh my gosh, like we knew each other in a life past for sure. And then we had crossover and loose circles. And now she's back in my life. We're back in each other's lives. And like, I can't imagine my life without her in it for the rest of it, right? So I think sometimes don't think that because you're of a certain age, you can't find new best friends, because you can. I mean, we're a perfect example of that, right? It's just it's so cool. So
I was like a little too rebellious in high school for Jackie.
I was voted class grandma, if you don't remember that, with my bedazzled senior shirt. So yeah, I was a little straight-laced, let's say, but I've come a long way from that too.
No, you haven't.
Darn it.
No, but you're doing amazing things in the world. Jackie, let me ask you a question. What are you doing to show up in the world unapologetically?
I think I kind of started it off with the podcast this way. Like, I am just really trusting my gut, and not just trusting it, but then speaking it, right? Speaking my truth, not letting what in my brain might be saying, I don't know, like, should you really say that, right? That like little, like that voice is, I can gently pick it up and put it down and say, okay, I hear that voice, but I'm going to do what's right for me. I'm going to step into my truth. So I think every day that I can show up and start, again, being more of my authentic self on the outside, as I said, right? The feelings have always been there, but really being able to speak my truth in any aspect of my life. I think that's my way of really just stepping out into the world the most unapologetically way for me.
Well, I'm so glad that you are. How can people find you?
So they can follow on Instagram at Piper and Mint, PiperAndMint. We also have a website, www.piperandmint.com. So those are probably the best ways. I'm on there. Oh, that's been a whole nother thing, right? That could be a whole nother podcast. But yes, I am out in social in a major way that I never have been before. So that's been its own growing pains. And but yeah, that's the best way to reach me. Send me a DM. We're super active. We love chatting and hearing from people. So excited to connect with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate everyone who tuned in. Jackie, it's been such a pleasure. And I'm just grateful to have you in the seat and in the studio. And I know you're going to go on and make a huge impact in the world. Keep doing all the things. So
thank you.
I am Ashley. This is Jackie, and we are Unapologetically yours.